Meanwhile, the United Kingdom, nearly all sectors are in fact planning to go on a strike this Christmas season. And this, of course, poses a serious threat to the already weakened British economy and also to the Rishi Sunak government. And to tackle this crisis, the government is exploring on ways to restrict or even ban the right of ambulance workers and also firefighters to go on a strike. Now, according to reports, several government departments are in fact working on options to toughen up new legislation. And this legislation will be designed to reduce the impact of industrial action. And the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has said that he will do whatever he can to try and minimise the disruptions in day-to-day life. Now, earlier, the chairperson of the Conservative Party, Nadeem Zahawi, said that the United Kingdom's government is in fact looking at bringing in the military to help keep the public services running if key workers, including the state-run National Health Service, take strike action. From nursing to the postal services, railways to charity workers, nearly every sector in the United Kingdom is planning to go on strike over the Christmas period. In the latest, UK's Border Force staff are also to strike over the busy festive holidays at airports across the country. And the UK government is preparing for the airport strike by training nearly about 600 soldiers to check passports instead. All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what, of course, is unfolding in the United Kingdom, we're being joined in by our correspondent Alex Isat, who's joining us live on this broadcast. Alex, this, of course, is a very, very serious scenario that the United Kingdom seems to be staring at, where the Christmas season could potentially turn into a season of strikes. Give us a sense of what is happening. Why are so many people across so many sectors in the United Kingdom planning to go on a strike?
Yeah, absolutely. Christmas is going to be quite a depressing time for the strike action. In fact, there's only one day in December when strike action isn't happening at the moment. So a lot of chaos is going to be unfolding as we head towards the Christmas and trying to get back to visit for families for holidays. And this is all started because a lot of the unions are trying to get together and push for higher rates of pay across all of those sectors that you mentioned there. They want to have their pay in line with inflation, and they say that a lot of the pay hasn't been going up over the past couple of years. So even though right now the UK is seeing this huge rate of inflation, the actual pay rises haven't been going up for at least a couple more years previous to that. So now they're really trying to get together and make it as disruptive as possible, make it as big a problem as possible for the government so that they'll step in and actually do something. These strikes we've seen all throughout this year, especially with the railways. They have been striking since right at the beginning of the year, but now it's getting a little bit more serious for the general public because they're seeing ambulance workers, firefighters, civil servants all planning to strike as well. And the government is going to claim it's going to be putting in the armed forces, but the armed forces seem to now just be the response to get out there and try and cover up and patch up what is ultimately the major problem, which is that the government doesn't have enough money to put up these rates of pay. They're saying that the government's taken up a step back with the unions and the paymasters and are trying to get them to resolve the situation for everyone's benefit. But the pay isn't still at the inflation level that the unions want.
Absolutely indeed. Now, looking at these sectors in which some of the workers intend to in fact go on strike, this includes nursing staff, railways and charity workers, fire ambulance workers. Tell us what the British government is in fact planning to do, at least as an emergency measure. Is there some new legislation that perhaps the British government is planning to bring in, or is it trying to address this economically by promising better salaries?
Well, the government seems to be in a stalemate, shall we say, at the moment. They haven't really been promising anything. They said there's no money there to give extra to any of these unions, and they have said that if they start giving money, then that's going to set a precedent. So they are actually seem to be taking a step back and not giving any kind of potential positive to any of these unions. The legislation that you've mentioned there, so that's something that has been discussed actually since 2019, but it hasn't been able to go through all the way through Parliament, and it hasn't been able to get that rapid accession that is needed. That's because the Labour opposition party have been stalwarting against it. They say it's a fundamental right to strike, even though the legislation itself would try and put in place that there should be a minimum service if strikes do go ahead, and there are other amendments to that legislation legislation that those who are within the union should also be allowed to accept the percentage pay rise offered from the paymasters, and not just the unions fighting for what they believe in and their corner. Both at the moment, both the unions and the government are definitely waiting to see who's going to blink first.
Absolutely indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Alex Azar, for joining us and getting us all those insights there. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.